Ladies and gentlemen, there's something profoundly unsettling about a woman who enjoys her own company. Society has told us that connection, partnership, and togetherness are the hallmarks of a fulfilling life. But what happens when a woman reclaims the most sacred connection of all, the one she has with herself? A woman who spends time alone knows herself deeply. She has sat in the silence and faced the roar of her own thoughts, the echo of her fears, and the soft whispers of her desires. She is unafraid of what she might find because she has learned to hold space for herself with compassion and grace. This kind of self-awareness is powerful, almost unnerving, to those who haven't ventured into their own quiet places. She is dangerous because she isn't easily swayed. Alone time sharpens her instincts and her intuition. When she steps into the world, she does so with clarity. She knows what she wants and, just as importantly, what she doesn't want. This woman isn't looking for validation in others. She has already found it within herself. A woman who spends time alone also knows the value of boundaries. She doesn't confuse loneliness with solitude. She chooses her solitude because it fuels her. It replenishes her energy and reaffirms her autonomy. She doesn't let others cross the line she has drawn to protect her peace. That kind of conviction can intimidate people who expect her to bend, to yield, to always make space for their demands. But this woman is dangerous not because she is cold or detached, quite the opposite. Spending time alone has taught her the art of being present. She has learned to listen deeply, to sit with someone else's pain without judgment, and to love without losing herself in the process. Her solitude gives her the strength to show up authentically in her relationships. And perhaps what makes her most dangerous is her freedom. A woman who can be alone is a woman who cannot be controlled. She doesn't fear abandonment or rejection because she knows she will always have herself to lean on. Her joy, her fulfillment, her sense of worth are not tied to anyone else's approval. That kind of liberation is electrifying, and yes, it can be unsettling to those who haven't found it for themselves. So here's the truth: a woman who spends time alone isn't dangerous because she isolates herself. She is dangerous because she has discovered the infinite power of her own inner world. She has learned to be her own sanctuary. And when a woman knows she is her own safe place, there's no limit to what she can achieve. To those who find her intimidating, perhaps what you're really feeling isn't fear, but admiration. Let her be an invitation, a reminder that there is strength in stillness and courage in solitude. After all, the world doesn't need more women who shrink themselves to fit. It needs more women who dare to stand tall, alone, and unshakable. Self-awareness is the foundation of a fulfilled and meaningful life. It begins with the courage to turn inward and explore one's own thoughts, emotions, and experiences without judgment. A woman who spends time alone actively cultivates this practice, engaging with her inner world to understand who she is at her core. This process is not always easy. The silence can be intimidating at first, but it creates the space necessary for introspection and growth. By sitting with herself, she learns to identify patterns in her thinking, understand the root of her fears, and recognize the unique desires that drive her forward. In solitude, a woman is able to remove the distractions of the external world. This allows her to reflect deeply on her values, goals, and aspirations without the influence of societal expectations or the opinions of others. It is in these moments of quiet that she begins to recognize her true self. She discovers what makes her feel alive, what drains her energy, and what aligns with her deepest sense of purpose. Over time, this clarity strengthens her ability to make decisions that honor her authentic self. She is no longer guided by the need to please others or fit into predefined roles. Instead, she becomes a compass for her own life. This self-awareness also fosters resilience. A woman who knows herself deeply is better equipped to face challenges and setbacks. She understands her strengths and knows how to leverage them in difficult situations. At the same time, she is honest about her weaknesses, viewing them not as flaws but as areas for growth and learning. Her time alone allows her to process emotions like fear, sadness, or frustration in a healthy way. Rather than avoiding discomfort, she learns to sit with it and find the lessons within it. This ability to navigate her inner landscape builds a sense of inner strength that cannot be easily shaken. Moreover, self-awareness nurtures emotional intelligence. A woman who spends time reflecting on her own emotions and thought patterns develops a deeper understanding of how these influence her behavior. She becomes more attuned to the ways her emotions impact her interactions with others. This insight helps her communicate more effectively, manage conflicts with empathy, and create meaningful connections. The time she invests in knowing herself translates into an ability to understand and support others in their own journeys. As self-awareness deepens, a woman begins to trust her intuition. By tuning into her inner voice, she learns to recognize what feels right and what does not. This instinct becomes a powerful tool in decision-making, enabling her to move forward with confidence even when external circumstances are uncertain. She no longer second-guesses herself because she has built a solid foundation of trust within. This unwavering confidence, rooted in self-awareness, becomes her greatest asset. Ultimately, the journey of self-awareness transforms a woman into her own source of strength. Through her time alone, she develops a deep and unshakable understanding of who she is, allowing her to navigate life with clarity, resilience, and purpose. Unshakable independence stems from a deep understanding of one's own value and the ability to stand firm in one's identity regardless of external pressures. A woman who spends time alone develops this quality through consistent self-reflection and personal growth. By choosing to be alone with her thoughts, she creates the opportunity to connect with herself on a fundamental level. She begins to see herself not as a reflection of the world around her, but as a unique and autonomous individual. This awareness becomes the foundation of her independence. When a woman spends time in solitude, she learns to validate her own feelings and experiences. She no longer seeks approval from others to confirm her worth because she understands that her value is inherent. This realization allows her to break free from the constant need for external affirmation, which can often lead to feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt. Instead, she learns to appreciate her own journey and the growth it brings. This internal validation fosters a sense of confidence that is unshakable in the face of criticism or rejection. This independence also manifests in her ability to make decisions based on her own needs and values. She is not easily swayed by the opinions of others because she has taken the time to identify what truly matters to her. By spending time alone, she gains clarity about her priorities and develops a stronger sense of self-direction. She becomes the architect of her own life, making choices that align with her goals and vision. This clarity helps her resist societal pressures to conform to roles or expectations that do not resonate with her. Financial independence is another area where this sense of self-reliance often extends. A woman who spends time alone is more likely to take the initiative to plan for her future and set her own financial goals. She understands the importance of being able to support herself and make decisions without relying on others for stability. Her independence is not just emotional but practical, empowering her to take control of all aspects of her life. Her independence also reshapes her relationships. She does not enter into friendships or partnerships out of a need to fill a void or to seek constant validation. Instead, she seeks connections that are built on mutual respect and genuine understanding. Her independence allows her to maintain her individuality within relationships, and she encourages others to do the same. This dynamic creates healthier and more balanced connections where both individuals are free to grow and thrive. Unshakable independence also equips a woman to navigate challenges with resilience. When faced with adversity, she trusts her ability to adapt and overcome. She is not paralyzed by fear or uncertainty because she knows that she has the strength to handle whatever comes her way. This inner trust comes from the consistent practice of relying on herself during times of solitude. Ultimately, unshakable independence is about more than self-reliance. It is about cultivating a sense of freedom that comes from knowing oneself fully and trusting one's ability to create a life of meaning and purpose. Through her time alone, a woman builds the strength to live authentically without compromising her values or individuality. The power of boundaries lies in their ability to protect and nurture one's well-being. A woman who spends time alone learns the value of creating and maintaining boundaries as a means of safeguarding her energy, emotions, and time. She understands that boundaries are not walls meant to isolate, but tools that allow her to engage with the world in a way that feels healthy and sustainable. This understanding comes from her time spent in solitude, where she has the space to reflect on what she needs to thrive. By spending time alone, a woman gains clarity about her limits and priorities. She recognizes what activities, relationships, and environments contribute positively to her life and which ones drain her energy. This awareness enables her to set boundaries that align with her values and goals. For example, she may decide to limit her availability to people who take advantage of her generosity. Or she may choose to say no to commitments that do not serve her long-term vision. These choices are not acts of selfishness, but demonstrations of self-respect and self-preservation. Boundaries also empower a woman to take control of her emotional health. When she spends time alone, she becomes attuned to her emotions and learns to recognize when she feels overwhelmed or depleted. This awareness helps her establish emotional boundaries that protect her from being overly influenced by the negativity or demands of others. For instance, she might choose to step back from relationships that are consistently one-sided, or create space to process her own feelings before responding to conflicts. These practices allow her to approach her interactions with greater balance and intentionality. One of the most significant aspects of boundaries is their role in fostering personal growth. By setting boundaries, a woman creates the space she needs to focus on her own development. She can dedicate time to pursuing her passions, building new skills, or simply resting without feeling guilty or obligated to meet the expectations of others. This space for self-care and self-improvement is essential for her overall well-being and allows her to show up as her best self in all areas of life. Boundaries also play a crucial role in building healthier relationships. A woman who spends time alone understands that boundaries are essential for maintaining mutual respect and balance in her connections with others. She communicates her needs and limits clearly, ensuring that her relationships are built on honesty and understanding. At the same time, she respects the boundaries of others, recognizing that everyone has the right to protect their own well-being. This mutual respect creates a foundation for relationships that are both supportive and sustainable. Finally, boundaries allow a woman to reclaim her power. By deciding where she invests her time and energy, she takes control of her own life rather than allowing others to dictate her choices. This sense of agency reinforces her confidence and helps her stay true to herself, even in the face of external pressures. Through the power of boundaries, she cultivates a life that honors her needs, values, and aspirations. Authenticity in relationships is rooted in a deep understanding of oneself and a willingness to engage with others in a genuine and meaningful way. A woman who spends time alone develops this authenticity through self-reflection and personal growth. By taking the time to connect with her true self, she learns to show up in relationships without pretense or the need to fit into someone else's expectations. This ability to be authentic is a powerful foundation for building strong and fulfilling connections with others. Spending time alone allows a woman to explore her emotions, values, and beliefs. This self-awareness helps her understand what she needs and desires in her relationships. She becomes more intentional about who she lets into her life, choosing to surround herself with people who respect her boundaries and align with her values. This selectivity ensures that her relationships are based on mutual respect and shared understanding rather than superficial compatibility. In solitude, a woman learns to process her emotions and take responsibility for her own feelings. This emotional maturity enables her to communicate openly and honestly in her relationships. Instead of relying on others to fill emotional voids or validate her worth, she approaches relationships as a whole and complete individual. She can express her needs without fear of rejection and listen to the needs of others with empathy and understanding. This open communication fosters trust and deepens the connection between her and the people in her life. Authenticity also means embracing vulnerability. A woman who spends time alone becomes comfortable with her imperfections and accepts that she does not need to be perfect to be worthy of love and connection. This self-acceptance allows her to be vulnerable with others, sharing her fears, struggles, and dreams without hiding behind a facade. Her willingness to be real encourages others to do the same, creating a safe and supportive space for genuine connection. Another key aspect of authenticity in relationships is respecting individuality. A woman who values her solitude understands the importance of maintaining her own identity within a relationship. She does not lose herself in the expectations or demands of others, but instead strives to maintain a healthy balance between connection and independence. This respect for her own individuality extends to those she interacts with, as she encourages others to be true to themselves as well. This dynamic creates relationships where both parties feel valued and free to grow as individuals. Authenticity also enhances resilience in relationships. A woman who is true to herself can navigate challenges and conflicts with integrity. Instead of avoiding difficult conversations or suppressing her feelings, she addresses issues with honesty and a desire to find solutions that honor both her needs and those of the other person. This approach strengthens relationships by building trust and fostering mutual understanding, even during tough times. By prioritizing authenticity, a woman creates relationships that are deeply fulfilling and enriching. Her time alone equips her with the clarity, confidence, and emotional intelligence needed to engage with others in meaningful ways. Through her genuine presence, she inspires deeper connections and a shared commitment to growth and understanding.